I think. Yes, good. Okay. Also, there's some questions about Honors College advisors. So the program staff and faculty for each of the living learning programs will provide information to the students about orientation in the classes they're required to take prior to when they actually attend for orientations. We'll know which classes you have to add. Students are not able to register until they've met with their college-specific advisors on the days of orientation. And then some questions about honor students getting to register early for classes. No, that's not set up, but students do after their first semester, after they register this summer, students get advising appointments and are able to register in the order based on the number of credits they have. So seniors start first, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, but it's, again, it's based on the number of credits that students have. And so there's a lot of honors students that come in with a lot of AP credits. And so they often start anywhere from 15 to 30 or more credits. And so they're going to register earlier than most freshmen after the first semester that they register for.
Thanks. I see several questions in regards to air conditioning in the honors dorms. Does one of the students want to go ahead and tackle that?
Yeah, I can talk about that. So several of the honors dorms, specifically the Gemstone and the main university honors dorm, that's Hagerstown and Ellicott Hall, do not have air conditioning. However, it's a big however, not having air conditioning, it was actually one of the better experiences of my freshman year because the common rooms are air conditioned. And so what ends up happening is for the first 2 weeks of school, when it's a bit hot out, you end up spending all of your time with the entire floor in that common room, and you really get to know the people there. And so while University Honors and Gemstone are the two largest programs, there's sometimes a feeling that there might be a little bit less of a community building because of that, because it's not a 60, 70 person program. But you really get to know your floor, and that kind of becomes your program to you, at least your freshman year. And I ended up living with several people from my floor up until my junior year. And that's a common thing you see all throughout. And that's largely because we were all put into the common room in a way that we wouldn't have otherwise.
To add to that, I was also in Hagerstown, and all my best friends now are my friends from my freshman year floor. So it's a very common sentiment between honor students.
Thanks so much, guys. All right, let's go to another question.
Additional orientation questions.
Oh.
It is virtual, but you do still need to register because we do have to get you to the Canvas class. And yes, registration is absolutely still open because students who have not yet decided to attend UMD have not yet registered. Orientation registration and even past May 1st, I believe. I don't know the deadline, orientation website. But yes, there's still definitely time to register for orientation.
Thanks.
Okay, sorry, I saw another question. Orientation is happening, it is just virtual. So you will meet with an advisor from your college, and also you'll have an opportunity to get information from your living learning program about the living learning courses you're required to take.
We have a question in regards to, and I'm sure some other parents may have this question as well. Please describe the balance between honors classes, seminars, and the regular curriculum for freshmen. So can we have a student who answers that, maybe Shivani? Just describe the balance and how you've been able to balance your curriculum plus your time within the Honors College.
Sure. So for me, the Honors College, specifically being in Gemstone, really helped me enrich my college experience because aside from my classes that I was taking, I came in as a biology major and then added on computer science as well. So it was definitely possible for me to take classes in two very different majors and still have the opportunity to do research, which I was really interested in through Gemstone. So I think for me, just like being in your honors college program opens up a lot of different opportunities for you, and kind of helps you do different things that you might not have the opportunity to do otherwise while in college.
Thanks. If anyone else has if any other student wants to add to that, feel free to do so while I look at it for another question. So
I'm seeing some questions specific about the UH and how does that work? Do those classes, are they like another major that you have to take? Do you have to take another certain number of credits on top of your 120?
So the way the university honors works, the question was about university honors, right? So the way the program is going to work is you're going to be taking an additional 6 classes, but 6 is a pretty broad way of saying it. It'll be a total of 15 credits, which means it'll be a 1-credit gateway seminar to start, which is something that pretty much everyone at the university takes in one capacity or another. You'll be taking 4 classes in thematic clusters, which I'm happy to go more into detail about, but it would take a little bit of a long explanation, so I don't want to take up too much time because we do have a lot of questions. But you're going to end up taking, it's a total of 4 classes and then 1 exit seminar, which is a 2-credit course. It's not going to be that big of a commitment. So overall, 4 classes is not comparable, even to a minor. It's a commitment, but it's not a major commitment, and it definitely won't get in the way of anything else you're doing. I know honors students who are double majoring, triple majoring even. I mean, I'm a double major personally, and architecture was one of my majors, and that was an absolutely huge commitment, and honors never got in the way of that.
Thanks, Sasha. So I do see a question that's more so for our staff. With this COVID crisis going on now, are we allowing students to take classes from community colleges and some classes from UMD in the first semester? So I would say currently right now, as you all know, we're still kind of playing things by ear as we hear news. Right now, we do not know what we're planning for the fall. We do not have a definitive answer for that. However, I can say that we do have students who do take classes in community colleges and transfer them into College Park. So yes, you can do that. As far as if that's going to be something that we're suggesting for students to do in their first semester, that hasn't been discussed yet, or at least put out there yet.
I see a great question in the chat that I'd love for our HAs to take. One of the benefits of the Maryland Honors Program is that it has been described as a college within the college. Maryland is a pretty large state school. Can you describe the extent to which the honors program makes the university feel smaller, both academically and socially, while still getting the benefits of supporting the Terps? HAs?
I can start this one. I would say, for me, one of the biggest benefits of the Honors College and something that I'm forever grateful for was living with my honors program, University Honors freshman year, as I noted a little bit earlier. Most of my best friends are people that I found through that. So that's one of the key elements that I like to share with other people, because that was, for me, one of the main things that helped it feel like a college within a college, starting right out at the beginning of my time at Maryland.
I will very much second that. As I mentioned also, I lived with a lot of people from my floor freshman year. That was a really big thing. But overall, it doesn't, not necessarily dorms are the only thing in many of the other LLPs. There's also a relatively small community, and that was something that really brought me to the Honors College. I was looking for a very small school. I was looking at 2,000 person schools, which is smaller than my high school. when I was applying for college 4 years ago, and one of the big draws was that the Honors College really offered those small classes, that sense of community that you wouldn't get on a 35,000 person campus. And I think you'll find that you will form that community one way or another, whether it's through your floor or just the people of your program or in your courses. You'll find that it does really shrink the university down to a much smaller size.
Thank you. And I see some more questions coming in regards to housing. I see some that we'll kind of try to address a few of them. So one in regards to the AC not being in some of the dorms, we have several questions being asked. Are portable air conditioning or air conditioning units allowed in your dorm room?
I think what they say is you can have fans, but not portable air conditioning units. To be quite honest, I figure they're probably willing to give exceptions, and occasionally, you know, people would have portable air conditioning units and stuff. So whatever makes you most comfortable, I think that's the bottom line.
Okay.
Can I go off mute and ask my questions? They've totally flown by without answers, and I see a lot of other questions coming in where that aren't answered or have partial answers. Mind?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Questions about honors students who have a certain major, business major. You really want to also have a concentration in either honors cyber programs or engineering programs. Are you able to have a secondary concentration within the realm of other honors programs in addition to your core one? Or do you have to do that within the realm of the main curriculum? That's one question that I've seen come by a few times. The other question is in terms of internships in your field. Do the honors students on here, I see you're all juniors and seniors, do you feel that the honors program or even University of Maryland, that there are so many Maryland companies that hire out of Maryland, do you feel that this has facilitated you getting an internship in your field, and have they been valuable internships or kind of somewhere to go in the summer or school year? Those are two primary questions.
We can definitely answer that. Okay, so first question, it sounded like you were asking about does the living learning program have to be major specific with the student? So if they're in computer science, do they have to match up with ACES or cyber, or can they go outside of that field? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, Ifoma and or Brenna, do you guys want to talk about that?
I sort of missed the question. I was responding to other people's in the chat. Could you restate it?
Oh, sure. Sorry, Brenna.
Yes,
So,
Sorry.
So we have a parent who wants to know, basically, first of all, do you have to be, your living learning program, does it have to be major specific? And if not, how has that helped you during your college experience?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, I'm bioengineering. I'm in university honors, and your university honors or your honors college track, whichever one you pick, definitely does not have to correspond with your major. I know a lot of people who have varied interests who picked their honors college track based on doing something different than their major so that they were able to take classes in a wide array of things. So the answer to that question is definitely not, unless you wanted to. I personally picked university honors coming in as a bioengineer because I thought that would be the most reasonable to integrate with all my engineering classes and pre-med requirements, since that's a lot in and of itself. And then in terms of pursuing or getting internships out of university honors, I personally mainly went through bioengineering sources, but I know we get emails weekly with opportunities, scholarships, internships that you could pursue. I just never took advantage of them. So maybe someone else can speak to that.
I just want to add on to Brenna's answer. So I'm also pre-med and I'm in the Honors Humanities program. I really like the fact that I'm in it because it's a nice balance between the heavy science classes I take. Taking humanities classes I think is really beneficial for me because to be a doctor, you don't just only have to know about science, you also need to know how to communicate with people. So I think it's just offered me a good balance between my major and my living learning program.
Thanks, guys. Do we have any HAs on the line who have taken advantage of internships and or research opportunities? If so, could you just go ahead and talk about that briefly and how, if any, your experience has been and how the Honors College has assisted in that?
Hi, everyone. My name is Radhika. I'm a junior physiology and neurobiology major in the Integrated Life Sciences program. So Chantelle can definitely touch on the internships question.
Thanks.
So I think, if anything, the Honors College has been amazing in providing these research opportunities and these internship opportunities, not just to myself, but I know so many of my friends who have found their summer experiences, or even either if it's going to be throughout the year or sometime else, all their experiences either through the Honors College or other departments at Maryland. One of the most amazing things is we have basically a daily honors newsletter that is always constantly being updated with new opportunities. If whether it's new companies coming to do career fairs, if it's like a just company who's specifically looking out for University of Maryland students. As a student, as a member in ILS, I am also a pre-med, and a lot of my friends are, and we actually have an ongoing like research spreadsheet, basically from previous ILS alumni and like what internships they've done, what labs they've been in, and it's always been super great because usually once these individuals work with Honors College students, they're more likely to work with them again, and so they're always saying like, oh, we need someone next year. If you want to pass this on, you can do that. And so there's always that network, like that networking and that alumni, not just amongst alumni who've graduated, but even alumni who are still like, you know, students who are still in the program. So it's been really great. Like I've been at NIH for the past 2 summers. I was going to be there again this summer, but NIH actually canceled their summer internships due to COVID-19. And like these are opportunities that I found through like ILS, and I helped find that. And it was also great because a lot of the times these LLP, or your living and learning program advisors, are going to be the same ones who are maybe going to help you write a recommendation letter, you know, or help you find that. And they're always open for office hours. So if you're not sure like what lab to join or what opportunity to pick or where to look, you know, they've helped so many students with that process. And so they know exactly what your qualifications are, what types of things you're interested in. So they're always also going to help you find those opportunities. And so if you're interested in something in the DC area, they're going to help you with that. If you want to go and study abroad and maybe do a research internship over the summer in Spain or something, like, you know, people have done that too. And so you can find that as well. So I think if anything, the Honors College is just going to help you find those opportunities. And, you know, it's just going to help you. There's nothing I think that would deter you from finding those opportunities.
Thanks so much.
So I wanted to address a few things. First, thank you for your suggestions about how we can make this chat more effective. Obviously, there's nothing to do right now, but
Wow.
good ideas that we are considering, and we will see what we can do. We are hoping to be able to put the recording of this chat on our website so that you guys don't have to email us and wait for us to respond to email it back to you. And also the FAQ is a great idea. We do have a student chat scheduled for next Wednesday for your students to participate. So please look for that next Wednesday. Encourage your students to attend. And then there's a number of questions about deferrals. Generally, the answer is deferrals have to go through the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. When a deferral is approved by that office, the student's entire application and approvals and admissions and scholarships just get deferred 1 year. So typically that is the case. Yes, there have been a lot more questions this year about deferrals. So those questions absolutely have to go through the Office of Undergraduate Admissions, since they're the only ones who can process and approve deferrals. But yes, typically when a student requests a deferral and it is approved, their admission, their invitation to the Honors College and their Living Learning program, and any scholarships that they have received are deferred as well.
So I have a request for clarification on what you said. There are, all these great questions on the chat on the side, and you said that you're going to put out a Q&A. I just want clarification, please. Have you been able to capture the email addresses of those of us on this call and our answers to all the questions in the chat coming out to this group, or are you putting them somewhere on website or some other place for us to find? Because there are still a ton of great questions here that we have also that are in the chat and sitting out there in the chat. Thanks.
I agree. We are going to capture as many questions as we can. I don't know that we can capture the email addresses. There's almost 300 participants on this chat, and people are actually leaving and then joining. So I'm not sure we're going to be able to capture the email addresses, but we will put the video of this chat and question and answers on our website. That is our goal.
And feel free, parents and families, feel free to go ahead and jump in and ask your question if we haven't covered it yet, and you still have it.
I think there's a lot of questions about scholarships, especially for out-of-state students. Can you address like opportunities available for scholarships for out-of-state? And then also when the students live in there for a year and file their taxes, can they change their status from out-of-state to in-state?
So the residency classification question needs to go to the residency classification office, but I can tell you that typically to establish residency, a student needs to live and work in the state of Maryland for 12 months, and they need to be living in the state of Maryland primarily not for attending an educational institution. So students who come to Maryland, start school, and then get a job, they typically do not qualify for in-state tuition because their primary reason to live in Maryland is to attend the institution. But if a student is living and working in the state of Maryland prior to attending the university for 12 months, prior to the first day of classes in the fall semester, then yes, they can typically qualify for in-state tuition.
Can we talk about study abroad real quick? So I want to understand how, like, if it's encouraged to be a study abroad, to participate in study abroad as part of the honors program, and then also, given the fact that we've talked about there are LLP specific course requirements, how can the student participate in study abroad and still do those LLP specific course requirements at a university that may not, through a program that may not offer it? And is it possible, or is it likely that if they did the study abroad, would they continue to be on track to graduate on time?
Do we have any HAs who have studied abroad? And can you talk about your experience, if any?
I have studied abroad. Hi, it's Radhika. I have studied abroad for a winter semester. I didn't do across a semester, but I have so many friends who've done a semester abroad. So basically, I would say study abroad is very, very much encouraged. And if students are interested in including that in their 4 years at Maryland, like, it is very, very much feasible. And I think that for a lot of honor students, it's actually more feasible just because many of them are coming in with a lot of AP credits or IB credits. And so they already kind of have that flexibility in their schedule. So we actually have an education abroad office, so you can kind of speak with them. They have study abroad fairs at least once or twice each semester. And there's so many options. Like, you can study abroad for a full semester, like fall or spring. You can go abroad for like 3 weeks in the winter. You can go abroad for like the summer if you want. So there's so many different options based on how you, like, what you're interested in. I'm a Spanish minor, so I wanted to pursue, like, I wanted to go to a Spanish speaking country. So I did a study abroad in Spain, and I absolutely loved it. I have a friend who is currently, or was in Denmark, and then had to come back now to the US, but she was supposed to study abroad in Denmark for this whole semester. And just like that, I know so many people who just studied abroad basically everywhere. UMD has a lot of partnerships with a lot of universities so that you can do like a Maryland in Copenhagen type program or something else, where you're basically a student at this university. And there's a lot of other options as well, just like other study abroad programs that have been implemented. And the education abroad office, they've had so so many students utilize their study abroad program that they're super good at just like working with students, finding how study abroad fits into their plans, finding what countries or areas the student is interested in visiting, and kind of just helping them craft that into their academic journey. So it's definitely feasible. And I would say that the Honors College definitely recommends it, and like is very supportive of it. But again, if you're not interested in that, there's a lot of other opportunities at Maryland that you can take part in. So again, it's there if you're interested in it. But if that's not something you're interested in, there's no like force to like, you have to do it.
I think it's also kind of important to note that most honors programs are 2 years, and you're in college for 4 years. So if you want to go abroad and you don't want to have to miss out on opportunities in your LLP, you can go abroad your junior or senior year after you've already finished your honors program. That's what I did. I'm currently planning to go to Spain. So in no way did it affect me getting my honors citation or finishing out my program.
Thanks, guys. I see a
Question:
couple.
if an in-state student does not want to live on campus and they're in the ACES program, given the COVID situation, do they really have to still, or is that some consideration will be given?
Generally, that program does require students to live on campus in the dorm, but for any exceptions to that rule, you would want to talk to the faculty and program and staff in the ACES program.
Thank you.
I have a question and I hope this pertains to others. So my son will obviously be an incoming freshman. He's in UH and he's also in the engineering program. But and maybe this goes to all the Maryland students. So he thinks he wants to be an engineer, but he's also interested in cybersecurity, and yet his school never has had any business courses. So he'd like to try economics and try other things. So wondering, how do you figure out what you want to major in? Because most of the kids coming in are 17, 18-year-old. You guys have an idea of where you want to go, but how do you, and how can honors help you explore, like, oh, I think I want to be an engineer, but maybe I want to be a computer sci, or maybe I want to be an economics major. And can these consortiums help you fine tune, or what's your advice so kids can then figure out, well, wait a minute, maybe this isn't the major for me, I want to be here. And how do you just, I guess, manage or figure out this process of what's your best to explore different courses and majors going forward?
I'd love to answer that question. I switched majors 3 times in college.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. So it was a little bit in a different field. I was government and politics. I added economics. I dropped economics and I took on architecture. But what I found, and I think this is universal around the campus, is that most people don't know what they want to do going in. They have a general sense that, yeah, this is something they're kind of interested in. My best advice for your child is to take courses in the things that they're interested in. There are a lot of freshman courses that fill general education requirements, and that's one of the wonderful things about the general education program, is that not only are you required to take these classes, but you're obligated to kind of taste different things in different fields. And so if your child is interested in business and computer science, then University of Maryland has some of the best computer science and business programs in the world. So there are really wonderful freshman, sophomore courses that they can take and get a sense of this, if this is something they're interested in. The University Honors track actually is really wonderful also to help you set that up, because their courses are kind of very diverse in the range of the subject matter they carry. It was because of several honors courses that I was kind of found that architecture was something I really wanted to do. It was because of an honors seminar, an honors course, that I found that it was disability advocacy, which was something I want to do. It was because of these courses that weren't really related to the things I was studying. And that's one of the beauties of the University Honors Program as a whole, is you're able to take these courses that aren't really necessarily in the subject areas you're studying and really get a sense of another field, and if it's something you're interested in.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, guys. I see a couple more questions that I wanted to address in regards to housing. For students, they do need to submit their housing application by the May 1st deadline. And in regards to honors housing, they actually, the only resident hall that we have that is completely separate from the rest of the students on campus would be our Anne Arundel Hall building, which is for our honors humanities students. Every other program that we have are housed with other students around campus, so they are not isolated from other students. We just have designated floors, and our students are roomed with other students from their LLP, if that makes sense.
So one question about orientation.
Started an hour ago. This is only one for the parents and the students, but never interested in.
Go ahead with your orientation question.
So the way that the GEMS program, and it's a question surrounding the GEMS program and the health sciences sort of curriculum. Do you have a separate advisor for both, and how do you know which classes you should register for when you do register? Is that so if you have engineering and pre-med, for instance, which are both kind of difficult, how do you decide what your first semester is going to look like? Who helps you pick?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you just some basic information about advising, and then I would invite our GEM student, Indor Radika, I know, would be able to answer some questions about that as well. So students are going to have advising depending on their major and their college. So I was previously working in the School of Music, so I'm very familiar with RHU's policies. RHU being the College of Arts and Humanities, which the School of Music is a part of. And I know in RHU requires students to meet with an advisor, requires 3 times before their first semester, before they hit junior standing, and then the semester before they plan to graduate. The advisors are available to students every semester if they want that assistance. And then in the School of Music, students are required to meet with an advisor every single semester. So I know that different departments and different majors are different, but students will often have an advisor in their major and an advisor in the college to make sure that they're getting their major courses and their general education requirements. There are staff and faculty advisors in all of the living learning programs who can also assist students to make sure that they are meeting the requirements for their citation and honors. And then there are advisors in a pre-health advising office who can help students prepare for going on to med school when they graduate. Radhika or Shivani, do you want to jump in and add anything that I may have missed or said wrong?
Sure. So for me, for Gemstone has a specific advisor or advisors who help with registration for Gemstone specific classes. So for my major specifically, I met with my advisor every semester to decide what classes I would register for the next semester. And for Gemstone, there is like a designated timeline of what course you take which semester. So during the first year, you take 3 courses, one in the fall semester, which is just like an introductory seminar. And the second semester, there's another course, GEMS 104, which introduces you to like the research process. And another class, which is the team formation. So that's where you form the team that you're going to be doing research with for the next 3 years. And then after that, sophomore, junior, and senior year are basically the course you register for is 2 credits, which you get for basically conducting your research. So that's 6 courses in which you have weekly meetings with your team, spend time in the lab. If your team is doing lab work or whatever that may look like, you get 2 credits every semester for the work you put in for Gemstone. And there are advisors that help you with any questions you might have for Gemstone, and then you have separate advisors for your major as well.
I can also add to that as an engineering pre-med, which I think you said. I think it's pretty similar between departments. You have to meet with your departmental major advisor once a semester to sort of get your classes approved that you're taking. And then also as a pre-med, there's a whole health advising office that I personally met with at least once or twice a year to sort of make sure that I was on track towards the ultimate goal of getting to medical school. So that they're also helpful.
Yeah, just to chime in with all of that, for individuals who may be pre-health in general, and not necessarily in GEMS, first of all, you can be in any of the living and learning programs and still be pre-med. Pre-med is really just a set of courses that you need to take for medical school, and you can do those courses along with whatever major you're in, whatever LLP you are in, regardless. So as someone in integrated life sciences, I'm a biology major, and a lot of the ILS requirements are already biology classes. So personally for me, I wanted an LLP that kind of supported me with like a pre-med network of friends, but I have so many other like pre-med friends who are in honors humanities or who are in university honors or in gemstone, like, so you can really make the most out of it. It just depends on what you kind of want. And so again, in terms of advising, there are peer mentors in almost all of the colleges. So like, for example, I'm in CMNS, College of Mathematical, Computer and Natural Sciences. And so there are peer mentors who will help you write your 4-year plan. All of the students, regardless of major, have a University 100 class that they take their freshman fall. And one of the things that the class does is you actually write your 4-year plan there. And so again, you can, not only do you have advisors from your living and learning program, advisors from your college, advisors from the health professions advising office, but you also have upperclassmen who are able to help you, because sometimes it's really helpful to hear from students who've also just taken the classes themselves. So you are able to meet with all of these people and kind of work with everyone together to craft your own schedule. And usually by the end of your freshman, halfway through sophomore year, most students are able to like kind of figure it out on their own. And usually students, and that's kind of why advising is no longer required after that point, is more so just check-ins, just because students kind of know what they want to do from there. But advising is always open if you want to. All of the colleges will not only have like designated appointments, but they also have open office hours if you ever need it. And you can find that with almost within any department, within any major, within any LLP. So really, if you want that advising, if you want to reach out, it is there for you.
I have a general question. I'm trying to figure out how much more time is required in an honors program versus your regular curriculum. So if a student's in the honors program, do you find that you're spending a lot more hours studying than some of your students that are in regular curriculum programs? Does that make sense?
Yeah, as a university honors student, I think it varies from LLP to LLP, but as university honors and engineering, I didn't feel like being a part of the honors college took time out of me studying for engineering, if that makes sense. Like, I think everything I did with the honors college complemented the curriculum that I was working with already very well.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that from the experience in DCC. It really didn't add too much workload on top of being a comp sci major. It's usually 1 class per semester and maybe 2, and usually they like have like gen eds that they fulfill, so they'll kind of like take the place of other classes you might take. So it's not like adding a bunch of other classes in the semester. Like it is, no one that I know really had problems managing the coursework.
So those classes aren't more time consuming. In other words, the honors classes that are in your schedule aren't more time consuming than a regular class.
No, at least for me, no.
I think as they said, it depends on LLP. For example, as ILS, my honors classes were biology honors level classes. So kind of to similar how a lot of your children are taking AP classes and IB classes, those are usually more intensive and more just like, you know, there's more like discussion and higher like analytical thinking and more time that you have to invest in the class. But I enjoyed like being challenged and having to take that future step, which is, you know, a lot similar to stuff that individuals are doing in AP classes and in IB classes. So I would be careful with that yes, there are some classes that don't necessarily dictate more time, but especially if you're taking like H level, like computer science classes or H level engineering classes or H level, like biology classes, you know, you would have to dedicate that extra time. So I'd be careful with that. So it depends. Again, a lot of this is very dependent on the LLP and the class that you're talking about.
Thank you. I wanted to address a couple concerns or questions that I see, a few about scholarships after freshman year. In regards to that, the Honors College, we don't manage any scholarships other than the Banneker Key. So what I would suggest is for those students who are looking into those opportunities, they can definitely contact the Office of Financial Aid or the Office of Undergraduate Admissions for more information about that. But it is a possibility for them to apply for scholarships after their freshman year. To answer that question just blatantly, but they would have to contact those departments to kind of get more opportunities, and also check in with their actual departments for their major, their school. They would also may have opportunities for scholarships and grants as well.
I also see a question about the May 1st decision deadline. In conversations with the Office of Undergraduate Admissions, our understanding is that they are not going to change the deadline. They still want students to respond by May 1st. If you have individual circumstances where a few days can make a difference, I encourage you to contact the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. They will have conversations with individuals if needed, but their goal is still to have students respond by May 1st.
I saw a question that got missed earlier. It was, we're talking a lot about academics. Can you talk more about whether students in the Honors College have the ability to participate in sports? And absolutely yes. Intramural sports are like the lowest commitment of sports. Anyone can do them. They're just for fun. I do them all the time and have a great time. And as an honor student, like we said, it's not a huge extra time commitment. And then I do know students in the Honors College that are in like club sports. So there absolutely is flexibility for you to participate in any sport, any club that you want to do on campus.
A lot of questions out there on how Maryland's going to be treating AP IB exams this year.
So I answered this question in the chat, but thank you. This is probably a good one to answer. As far as I know, there have been no decisions made. I haven't heard of a final decision. I know that there is discussion about it. The topic of APs and IBs are on the agenda of a meeting I have coming up in this week. So I know that the university is definitely considering it. And when a decision is made, I'm certain that that information will be posted and shared. So at this point, we're trying to make decisions as quickly as we can, but of course, there's a lot of factors involved that we need to consider.
I saw a question about double majors that I just wanted to briefly address. So double majoring is a commitment. That's something that definitely, those are the kinds of decisions you have to make, whether you'd rather double major or study abroad for a semester and things. And that was one of the decisions that I had to make. But overall, honors, a 15 credit commitment is not, it's on the level of a minor in terms of how much of your college time it takes. And honestly, that does not hinder the ability to get a double major in any sense of the word. So in fact, university honors and most honors courses tend to cover general education requirements, which you'd be taking anyway in non-major courses. So overall, it pretty much balances out. You might be taking 1 or 2 courses more than someone who's not in honors and pursuing a double major, but it's nothing compared to, it's not an entire another major or anything in terms of course requirement.
I was having a hard time hearing anything.
I'm sorry, could you, I hear someone speaking. If you could just speak a little louder.
Can you talk a little bit about how the transfer of the AP credits, and if you have taken courses from other community colleges, how does that work, and what is the maximum number of credits that are allowed to transfer? I think it's 60, but can you just talk about the process a little bit?
Yeah. So your credits can transfer. There is a chart that you should check online to see if your AP credits, if your scores transfer or not, and if our school accepts those classes. And then for community college, there is a website that you can go to type in your specific community college course that you took and see what the UMD equivalent is and if we give credit for that. And the maximum number is 60. So.
I want to also to start addressing a couple questions. One question is, we realize this is a huge chat and we're trying to cover a lot of ground. So first of all, I just want to thank everyone for their patience while we're doing that. Also, I did see a suggestion in regards to kind of having breakout sessions in regards to certain topics. We actually had virtual admitted student open houses. So I'm actually going to place the link to that site where you can actually view live videos of certain sessions that you may want to review, whether it was financial aid or scholarships and stuff of that nature. I'll put that in the chat box for you guys to look at. Also, we do have a chat scheduled for next week. We did put this information in the chat, but for those that are not looking at the group chat, we will have a chat for students. We've had breakout chats for living learning programs over the past 2 weeks previously. We'll have another one for all of our living learning programs next week, April 22nd, via Zoom. The link will be sent out via email, hopefully by the end of this week to all of our students. And it'll be from 7 to 8 p.m., just so you guys know. And then I also saw a lot of questions in regards to connecting with current students. Do admitted students have the opportunity? And that the answer is yes. Before COVID happened, we offered hosted days, which some of our students were able to take a part in, which was coming on campus and shadowing one of our students for the day. Past that, we were able to kind of put it into a virtual, what we call a virtual honors hangout. So we have sent that information out to the admitted students via email. And it's on our social media accounts that they can fill out a form in order to be assigned to a current student where they can do a virtual chat, whether it's via Zoom or Skype or something of that nature, but they can connect with someone. So we do have that opportunity for our students and we've already let them know. I can also put that link in the chat for that form. And one more question that I've seen a few, and I'll put myself on mute for someone else to speak. We have some students who have not received their living learning program. We realized that if they were submitted their living learning preference form later than our best decision date, we are working on getting those decisions out, which should happen within the next week.
I'd also add, if you submitted your preference form before the middle of March and did not hear, please contact us. Because we should have already sent all of those out. If you submitted the preference form after about the middle of March, we are working on getting those out in the next week.
So one question is for students who want to live off campus, the accommodations, do they have to work out with, like, if they want to stay in an apartment, do they need to contact the apartment complex directly, or is there a department in the university that can help with that?
Off-campus housing that is not managed by the university, you would need to contact that apartment complex directly.
I also see another one in regards to housing. For honor students, they are guaranteed housing as long as they stay on campus. To answer that question, for all of their 4 years.
Just to add one more thing, you also have to submit your housing form by the May 1st deadline to be guaranteed on campus housing.
Parents, feel free to jump in if you have a question that we still haven't got to in the chat.
Sorry, I see a question about roommates. I believe the roommate assignments will go out in mid-July. There's probably a specific date listed on the ResLife website, which I have just put in the chat a minute ago, but in case it's gone, I will put it in again. And there's a question about housing for honor students. It depends on the specific living learning program they're in. Each living learning program is in a different dorm. So Honors Humanities is in Anne Arundel Hall, DCC and ACES are in Prince Frederick, GEMS is in Ellicott. Someone? Yes, okay. UH and ILS are in La Plata? Nope.
UH is in Hagerstown.
ILS is in La Plata. University Honors would be in Hagerstown. And then DCC and ACES would be in Prince Frederick.
I'm also going to, I already went ahead and posted the links to the Admitted Student Open House virtual event. And I also posted the link to the form to fill out to connect with current honor students. I'm also going to post the link to our webpage and the main webpage. If for whatever reason we don't get to a question that you have, most likely it may be on the website. So I do want to kind of give you that resource just in case we don't get to it in this chat.
I have a question. My student is not, he decided he does not want to live in the Learning Living communities as an honor student. So can you tell me, like, how will his honors experience differ from those that are living in the Living Learning communities?
Sorry, could you tell us which living learning program he's in, and we can try to get the student from that program to answer the question?
He does not want to live he doesn't want to live in the Living Learning community. So he chose not to do that.
But is he in one of the living learning programs? He doesn't have to live in it.
So I don't think he's chosen one. Does he need to choose one?
Yes.
Okay. So how does he go about doing that?
There's a preferencing form he would need to fill out. And he will not want to choose ACES or ILS because those two programs require students to live in the program.
Okay. So he has to, so to be in the honors, you have to choose a living learning community. You just don't have to actually live in it. Is that what I'm getting?
Right. So the living learning program that a student is in dictates what the requirements are for their honors citation.
Okay. All right.
So there is, of course, the living component, but for the program, students are not required to live with students in the program, but they still can complete the citation requirements and have the community, even if they're not living there.
Okay, and where does he find that form?
He should be able to find it on his My Coalition portal.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, can I follow up on the question that was just being asked by this woman about her son? So my question, it sort of relates, and I just want to make sure I understand, because my son did not want to do the living learning community, just like this other woman was just saying. He's an engineering major, and what he's told me is he's just in the university honors program. So what does that mean for him? Like, does he still have to give this preference that you were just telling her, or I'm a little confused? I'm sorry.
If he's invited to University Honors is one of our living learning programs.
Okay.
Sasha, you want to talk about this?
I'm happy to talk about it. I'm not exactly sure what the question was. Can you kind of rephrase it?
His point was he didn't want to live, let's say, in those other very specific programs. And I think he's an engineering major, and he wants to be not just with like engineers. He wants to be with different, just a diverse group of people in that sense. So it's not just his major. So can you just talk about that? Or so you're saying it's still the same, not the same thing, but it's still, you're required to live there. It's just, what that experience is like.
one of the really wonderful things about the university honors dorms is that you really get a mix. There were, little pockets of 3 or 4 business majors, 3 or 4 engineering majors, a couple of computer science majors on my floor, but it was really a mix of everything. We had English majors, we had biology majors, we had chemistry, we had government and politics, economics, business, architecture. We really had a complete mix, and that was a universal thing. And that's something that I think the housing, that's one of the things they really try and do, is they try and mix you up so you're not on a floor with all the same people. And you'll find that University Honors is a program full of a mix of people. So I don't think it's that hard for them to mix things around, because there's absolutely no way he's going to be on a floor with all the same people if he's in University Honors. I can promise you that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I also see some questions about sending information about APs. I don't know that is what we said. I'm sorry if that was unclear. AP scores would need to be reported to the university once students receive them all. Usually that's in June, I believe. I think the websites we were giving students about the APs was a way to find out what credit students would earn based on AP courses or AP exams they've taken and the scores they've received, and how that would transfer to credit here at the University of Maryland. And a question from Dave about the COVID-19 and what is going to happen in the fall. I believe we've said this in previous places in the chat. At this point, we don't know. No decisions have been made. We're still waiting for a decision about summer courses. So the fall semester is still unknown at this point. We are preparing for the possibility of online learning, but of course we don't know the answer right now. When that decision is made, I am certain that things will be posted, information will be shared.
One question, in this COVID crisis going on, if a student, because of the crisis, is not able to take the full load of 12 credits or more, do they go to a part-time status, and can they go in like for a semester or so with health conditions or so for a part-time status and then come back to a full-time status?
I believe that would be a question for the registrar's office.
We have a lot of questions about the transfer policy between living learning programs. Does anyone want to take that? Or
I can answer that. So transfer will be possible. We're implementing a new policy that will start for students who enter the Honors College this fall. Basically once a year, so one time, students will have the opportunity to apply to transfer LLPs. That will take place late in the spring semester of their freshman year. So they will be able to fill out an application to apply to transfer to, I think, up to 3 different living learning programs. And then the faculty and staff of that program will make a decision and notify the student as to whether or not they are able to transfer. If a student is approved for transfer, they will start in their second year with the first year curriculum for that new living learning program that they've been approved to transfer to.
I have a question about student dorm. Do they need to stay in the dorm all the time after the first year?
I can take that. So students do not. So as was mentioned previously, ILS and ACEs require that students live in the dorm their freshman year. The other 4 LLPs, it's just highly recommended but not required. And in general, just speaking of housing overall, if students want to live on campus all 4 years in dorms, they're more than welcome to. However, in general, like just in terms of college students, most juniors and seniors and even some sophomores choose to go into apartments. If you can either choose, there's a lot of like slightly off campus but right next to campus private apartment complexes like the Varsity, the View. I know a couple of students on this chat actually live there right now. As a junior or senior, if you want to live in an apartment complex, I personally am living in South Campus Commons. That's just another apartment complex right on campus. So I think most students do end up choosing to go to apartments just because they want that greater flexibility of having their own space. But if you want to stay in dorms and if you want housing, you will get it. So it's really just a preference, I think, student preference.
Okay, thank you. I also have a question on internship. Do they get internship on the second year or after they finish their freshman year? And how do you help them, you know, being an honor student, how are they getting this internships?
So I can speak a little bit about that. The career fairs on campus are usually hosted either by the entire school or by major departments, not by the Honors College. However, there's lots of opportunities within the Honors College to find different connections. A lot of times the LLPs, the Living Learning Programs, will have connections to all of our alumni. So if there's a Facebook page for your student to join once they're in the program, they might be connected with different opportunities through the alumni. And all of the Living Learning Programs definitely do support you in your search for jobs. Like your advisors are there to help you. But typically, searching for internships does go through your major, if that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you, that makes sense.
So we've gotten a number of questions about the University Honors, the new dorm that's being built. So as many of you know, the University Honors program has recently undergone a transition, and part of that transition is going to include a brand new dorm, a brand new dining hall. Unfortunately, they've only just begun laying the foundation. So barring an absolute miracle over the summer, it's not going to be done by the fall. But again, as I mentioned way earlier, there is a really large benefit to living in Hagerstown. Hagerstown, for the University Honors students, just want to make this very clear, Hagerstown is the main University Honors dorm, and it doesn't have air conditioning, which has its disadvantages. But again, that the central rooms, the common rooms, are air conditioned, and that creates a really wonderful community the first couple of weeks, because you really get to meet these people in a way that other people aren't, because they're spending their time in their dorms and everyone's doing homework together, and that kind of continues throughout the year. And I went into other honors dorms many times. I had friends in other honors LLPs, and there really wasn't the same amount of collaboration in that sense, because a lot of these students are in smaller LLPs, and so they're getting their chances to do those in their individual classes and stuff. And UH is a much bigger program, but you still get that with your floor because you're spending so much time in the common room. So I hope that answers the questions about the new dorm.
Thanks, Sasha.
Do they need to have a certain GPA in order to stay in honors program? What if they are not doing well? Is there any help for them so they can stay in the honors program, so they don't lose their status?
Yes, there is a required GPA. Sorry, I'm going to look it up to make sure I give you correct information.
I can take that, Jenny.
Go for
To
it.
remain in good standing with the Honors College, you need a 3.0 GPA, and you need a 3.2 GPA to earn the Honors College citation.
Yes, but if students, especially for first year, they don't do very well the first semester, it's adjustments and stuff. So is there any a help for them, encouraging them to stay on top of their class? First semester is a very hard semester. They have to be situated and all those things.
Faculty and staff in each of the living learning programs are always available to help students. One of the courses that they will likely take in their first year is a course about sort of getting used to college and sharing all sorts of resources that are available for those students. Additionally, I believe there is a probation semester. So if a student drops below a 3.0, they are on probation, and then they have until the next semester to bring up their GPA.
That answers. Okay, thanks.
Good. There's also some questions about taking courses in LLPs that the student is not in. The answer is no. ACES courses are available only to ACES courses. University honors courses are available only to university honors students, and etc. for all of the programs.
We also have a question regarding how virtual classes are going on right now. Can one of the ATs answer how your classes are being formatted at the moment?
Yeah, I can answer. I put my short version of it in the chat, but for those who aren't looking, I'm engineering and my classes are a mix of live recorded classes and pre-recorded classes that I can do in my own time. So I'd say it's a pretty even split between that.
Another good thing to point out is that all of our professors still hold office hours. They still have little Zoom sessions like this where you're free to pop in and ask any questions that you have, whether the class is live or whether it's pre-recorded. So that's been really helpful for me.
We have a question in regards to our classes generally taught by professors or TAs. Can one of our AJs answer that?
I would say classes are all taught by professors. Sometimes like the 4-credit classes, for example, those have discussions as part of the coursework. So that would mean like say you have lecture 3 times a week, you would also have an additional 1-hour discussion where you basically review the course material, maybe we'll take quizzes or just do practice problems. Those are usually led by TAs or teaching assistants. And again, that is all under the guidance of the professor. But the actual course material is always taught by the professor. But TAs are always there if you want to also ask them questions. But again, usually both TAs and professors hold office hours, so they're both there to help with learning.
So I wanted to add that in addition to some frequently asked questions that we would like to put on the website, I also want to gather a document that includes all of the various links we've provided. So look for that on our website in a day or two as well, because I realize we are giving you a whole bunch of links that if you catch them right now, that's great. But if not, you'll probably be wondering what they are. So we will gather all of those into one document as well and share it on our website. And again, if you have problems finding any of this, please email us, honorsadmissions@umd.edu. It's on the website as well. It's the email that you received information about this chat from. So please reach out to us if you have any questions. We're here to answer any questions you may have.
I've seen a couple questions on how, like what classes different honor students can take. Just really briefly, I just want to point this out, that the 6 different LLPs each have their own subset of honors classes. So for example, there's ACES classes that only ACES students can take. There's DCC classes that only DCC students can take. And then in addition to these classes, and this is what students use to complete their citation, there's also just honors courses in general. So for example, if you want to take Sociology 100, there's also a Sociology 100 honors version. And so as an honors student, you would also be able to take that class, which is probably going to be a smaller class size. And it's going to have a more like rigorous, more discussion-based curriculum. So those like H version classes, any honor student can take. But for example, if you're a UH student, you would not be able to take GEMS classes because you were not in GEMS, but rather you would have access to your own UH classes, which other LLP students would not be able to take. So I think I've seen that question a couple of times. So.
Thanks so much. So we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up. I'm looking to see if we have any other quick questions.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there's one more question. So Anne Arundel Hall is the only dorm that is all Honors College students, but it is specifically Honors Humanities students only. It is a very small dorm. But then Hagerstown is where all of the university honors students who want to live in the LLP, that's where they live. University Honors is the largest living learning program. So just by default, that's why the largest number of Honors College students live in Hagerstown.
And also for those who want to go ahead and save this chat, I saw that question come up. You can actually go to the bottom of the chat box where you were going to type your questions, and right next to file, you'll see the ... You'll click on that and you can actually, it's an option to just save chat. So you'll have that transcript for you. I just want to send, we all want to send a thank you to all the parents and families who joined us today. We really appreciate you taking the time out and asking these great questions that everyone really wanted to hear. Please feel free to email us, as Jenny stated, honorsadmissions@umd.edu if you have any follow-up questions. If your students have any questions, they can email us as well. Again, we'll be sending out this information to students for the last check happening next week. Hopefully they'll be getting them in the next few days. Other than that, we hope you guys stay safe and healthy. And hopefully the weather will start to warm up so we can at least start doing some yard work. But yeah, stay safe and healthy, and we wish you all well. Hope to see you guys and your students in the fall. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you for the students for helping out. Thanks, guys.